We're only going to do I think we just only do about 10 minutes on Aaron Rodgers, and then we kind of move on. And then which team can benefit most from Cam Newton? I think that's going to be good.
I think we ought to do a 15 minutes on Djokovic.
Yeah,
was he overhyped?
And what about those crazy teen queens at Flushing? That was something else, wasn't it?
Now I can't hear you again.
Oh, that's weird. You should be able to hear me now.
And I'm not on portable anything.
Oh, that's weird. We're working out things on the fly here.
Talk to me.
I'm talking to you.
Now they're working and they're tricking me. You know what? They're playing games with me.
I don't like that. Quit playing games with my heart. Quit playing games with my heart. So you are able to hear me now.
Yeah.
All right, we're sharing and caring. That's what I'm talking about right there. If I could just get a little more height on my hair. I feel like I got the Shoney's big boy do.
I have some terrible news for you. You're going to have to just suck this up and understand what I'm saying. All right.
Yes.
I listened to a podcast yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's about an hour and a half with Skip Bayless. Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And when you hear it, you're not going to hate Skip Bayless anymore.
Really?
I'm sorry.
So, does he talk politics or what's the deal?
Well, no, he doesn't talk politics. He talks about his life, not.
Oh,
he
and his brother. His brother is the famous chef Rick Bayless.
I understand. I know that.
And they don't talk. They're estranged for some reason.
I know, but that's not a part of the thing. I mean, he doesn't say any. He has nothing bad to say about him.
Yeah, but if Rick seems like a nice guy. I mean, I don't know.
Well, it
was Obama's favorite chef. I know Rick Bayless was like Obama's favorite
chef.
Again,
these are all the surface things that don't have anything to do with this. So I dare you to listen to it. And
my podcast obsession these days is, strangely enough, from Christianity Today, and it's about this guy named Mark Driscoll. And he is one of these guys that was in charge of a mega church up in Seattle, and the thing fell apart because of his toxic hyper masculinity. He's now in Scottsdale, Arizona, doing the exact same thing. It's fascinating. The narcissism.
Wait a minute. What is he, like a malpractice doctor who moves to a new state and starts over?
He is. It's Elmer Gantry, if I may use a current reference. He's down in Scottsdale and he's bullying people, and it's it's fascinating. There's like a lot of stuff that's been written and recorded about him, but they've done a good job with him. The name of the church was Mars Hill, not to be mistaken with the small college in Western North Carolina.
Oh yeah, they have nothing to do with each other, right?
They're completely. They're not whatsoever. Right. This was in the Seattle Bellevue area.
Yeah,
it was one of those churches. They had 4 campuses. They had 14,000 members. Money pouring in up the ass. All this stuff, and it was just so completely fraudulent.
Exactly. And the People's Temple in Cleveland had nothing to do with the one in San Francisco. Nothing whatsoever. McDonald's here, nothing to do with the one in Minneapolis.
Oh, stop. As you know, that's not the same thing. I'm ready when you are.
Yeah, let me just check. All right, we're pretty good here.
All right.
Okay. It is the Brad and Britt cast. Another fine week of Brad and Britt casting. We certainly hope so. All right. I think I would like, if I could, to bring up a topic. I don't think we've ever talked about this in, the years we've been podcast, and it's Donald Trump. We've never talked about Trump. Okay.
Who is this Donald Trump you speak of? Who is it?
Right. And as you surely know, sadly, over the weekend on September 11th, that evening, he did a commentary on a fight with a person who, in his own way, is as over the hill as Trump is. in his way, Evander Holyfield, right?
Yeah. Well,
Now,
he was with his son, Koki Trump Jr.
Right. Now, does he have 2 full ears? Did they ever fix the ear that he got bitten off by Mike Tyson, or does he have like just a thing there?
I don't know if they feel it's just sad that that's what he's known as, and that's what you think of immediately when you think of that. One of the best fights I ever saw was when the first time that he dismantled Mike Tyson. I was at Cowboys Bar in Wilmington watching that on pay-per-view, and he just dismantled the previously indestructible Mike Tyson. And then the second, it turns into a freak show in the second fight. And here we go. He's missing part of his ear. But yes, that's how Donald Trump decided to never forget 9/11, is with his son Koki doing commentary on pay-per-view on a boxing match of 2 has-beens.
So the question becomes, and we're way past ever saying, well, this is the thing that when people see that he did this or said this, that's the end. Okay. And then it always eventually gets around to us acknowledging whatever stupid, horrible, tasteless, inappropriate, never been done before, because no human being could ever be so horrible thing that he's done. This was on brand for him. This made complete sense for him.
It did. It really did.
We get it. We understand it. And so those of us who sit back here and judge all these things, and we never get it, and blah, blah, and his support, his people love that. Well. And at the end, this is way more. And now we can circle back to things we have talked about.
Yeah.
And we need to reiterate it here, which this is more about people in this country who do accept that and go, yeah, that's my guy. And no, that is my guy.
I dare you to criticize it. It's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing.
Well, it isn't how dare you, but it's, you don't understand what he was doing, how he again was connecting with whatever group of people think that was a good, really American, appropriate way.
Yeah.
Or that's what our troops are fighting for. Or the people who died. Here's one. I'll make one up. Ready? The people who died in those buildings would be happy that Donald Trump.
Oh God, really?
You know I'm right.
Well, would you like to knock me on this point? Because this is usually you. There's like some dude in a trailer park in Alabama. He hadn't have a pot to shit in, but he paid $60 for this pay-per-view just so he could see his man. Do you think that happened a lot on Saturday?
That isn't even a question. Of course.
There's guys out there that are barely scraping by, making $18,500 a year. That somehow squirreled together that much money.
And I dare you. Don't even think about pointing out, there are 364 other days in the year to do what he did, but he did it on September 11th, the 20th anniversary. And, he wants you to know that he wasn't hanging out with the, quote, elites on September 11th, the other presidents making solemn speeches, the current president and previous presidents. No, he doesn't. He was with he went down to Fire Station, I think it's Fire Station 17, which has become kind of the one you go to. It's one of the most famous ones. And of course, he can't even do that in any kind of decent way. I mean, I think he spent 3 minutes talking and 2 minutes and 45 seconds talking about himself and about how the election was stolen from him on September 11th. To firefighters and probably the children of firefighters who are now in the FDNY. And by the way, if you didn't see the 60 Minutes last night, it was one for the ages. The whole show was about firefighters in New York and what they went through and how their children, many of them, are now on the firefighting force, the FDNY. It's remarkable. It's worth seeing. But at this point, and yesterday and Saturday, certainly, they were very difficult days for all of us. They should have been. Even if you didn't want to think about it, even if you wanted to just move on, even if you had a football game to go to, or okay, of course. But if you're the former president of the United States, you do have a little bit of a different responsibility, unless you are that former president of the United States. And that's why he had the support that he had, and why he thinks, I guess, at some level, that that's going to be a good thing. That when let's see how it would work out. Let's say Trump gets the nomination in 2024. He beats all the charges against him. He wins in court. They can't touch him again, and he is the candidate. And a Democratic candidate running against him, Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or any of them, they use video of Trump on 9/11 2 days ago in a commercial against Trump, and they contrast that with how everybody responded. Oh, that'll backfire on him. Nice try. You get right. So this is the ultimate example, the latest one of, you can throw all kinds of shit at Superman and it just bounces. Remember in the old Superman show, the first
bullets
one,
had bounced right off of,
Right. And the special effects weren't very special. I mean, I swear, I think they threw marbles at him and you'd see something bounce off his chest. And that's where it is. But it's just mortifying. And again, it is about Trump, but it's more about the people who would sanction this, who would pay the $60. And I know we're the elites. We didn't pay $60. They get it. They're American. No. Have you heard
the reviews of his actual performance, him and Koki, and their commentary during the fight? It sounds like the definition of a shit show. All they did was talk about fighters that they met over the years. I met Ali. Ali told me I was the greatest. He said I was the best. And they were just talking like that. I met Lennox Lewis. Of course, I worked with Lennox Lewis on many. It was just shit like that the whole time, because the fight ends in the first round, and it's the whole thing was just a shit. They had to move the thing to Florida because nobody else would sanction this fight. Oscar De La Hoya was supposed to fight. He ends up in the hospital with COVID, and then Holyfield goes, I need the money. So they go to Florida, they have this thing, and then they get these two assholes to commentate on it, and it's just tremendously a shit show by even by boxing standards.
So it also fits in the panoply, the history of the large number of things that if you get associated with Donald Trump financially, you're going to lose. So if you paid all that money for a 1-round fight, right? You didn't get your money's worth, did you? Oh, wait a minute. Hold it. No. You got your money's worth because you got to hear stories of how Donald Trump hired Mike Tyson to fight at Trump Palace in 1989. Ooh, that was worth the money. You've never heard Donald Trump brag about himself before, have you? Wow, that was worth the money. Can't get that one. Woo.
It's something. I got to tell you, it was something.
But
wait a minute. My favorite Trump. I don't want to skip my favorite Trump 9/11 story. Is he congratulated Rudolph Giuliani? Don't forget that part where he congratulates Rudolph Giuliani for the anniversary of 9/11.
Did you see the clip of Giuliani speaking Saturday night? He was drunk on his ass. He was drunk on his ass.
Look, I mean, the epitaph has to be written. He was a shitty mayor before 9/11. He was a shitty mayor after 9/11, and now he is just a drunk in the gutter. I mean, that's it. The joke for many years was that all that Rudolph Giuliani would say is subject verb 9/11, and that's the way it was for many years. And by God, those were the good old days. Right now, he's just a stumbling ass drunk. That's all he is.
I can get this one. I got this one. You want to hear Rudy?
You do have the clip.
This is Rudy from Saturday night, and there's an American flag behind him and blue curtains. And he's speaking to people who apparently love his ass for whatever reason. But you're not going to hear a lot of applause here or laughter or anything. It's just a nut.
Imagine that Tony Blinken or Miley? How's that guy a general? Jesus. The other day, he said that the Bagram Air Force Base is not strategically important. I wanted to grab his, what do you got, 5 stars, 10 stars, 12 stars? He has so many stars that coming up into his ears. I wanted to grab his stars, shove it down his throat, and say, "It's 400 miles from China, asshole. China is going to be our enemy for the next."
Notice the dead silence in the room.
Okay, so that was a clip from that Dustin Hoffman movie about Lenny Bruce, right? That wasn't really Rudolph Giuliani,
No.
was it?
This is no here.
40 years, you have an air base 400 miles from them, and you're giving it up, idiot.
Oh,
What the hell is wrong with you? Who paid you? Christ, that is crazy. I don't know. I shouldn't get into this. What Biden did in the last 2 weeks is freaking insane. It cannot be explained.
so sad. Come on, Brad. Quit playing old Lenny Bruce clips and saying that it's
20
Rudolph
years
Giuliani.
ago, I did my job for the country. I'm very proud of it,
Yeah.
but I did it because of them. What Bernie demonstrated to you. I was so
He must be talking about Bernard Kerik, the disgraced police chief of New York.
Yeah, Bernie Madoff. No, he's talking about his friend Bernie Madoff.
Yeah, pick your Bernie. Anyway, it was a weekend at some Bernie's. I don't know.
Jesus Christ.
happy he did. You can't show everybody, right? You can't show, look, every one of them would like to show you the 10 people that supported them. Right, Espo? Right, Joe? Right?
Espo.
You didn't do it on your own. How many people did you have helping you?
Just slurring
I
that.
had Denny, I had Tony, I had Howard, I had Joe, and I had a lot of people.
Jesus.
Where's Tony? I mean, I had these people that were with me.
Sounds like a dorm.
I couldn't have done.
It sounds like a dorm. I had Spo, I had Stretch, I had Fart Sniffer, I
My
had Blinky.
God.
That's great that you got that. Holy, it does. It sounds like fucking except for the material, it sounds like Lenny Bruce in 68 or something.
No, it sounds like Foster Brooks
It does.
in 68 at a Dean Martin roast. But Foster
Brooks
Brooks was an actor.
He was doing a
faking it.
character. He was doing a bit.
Yes. Foster, I was so good on September. What day was it?
Can I tell you that my favorite Foster Brooks joke? He said this woman comes into the house and her husband has a gun to his head and she just starts dying laughing. And the guy says, "I don't know what you're laughing about. You're next." So I love that joke. I'll never not love that joke.
Hold it. Wait a minute. Hang on. Amazingly,
Jeez,
as
great.
I was playing this, we have a story. It just crossed. Giuliani is furiously denying accusations that he was drunk Saturday night. Apparently, and I don't have the whole speech, but apparently during that speech, he imitated Queen Elizabeth.
Oh,
he said he had only had one scotch, and he's the victim of a left-wing effort to disparage him. Yes, I had a scotch, but a bottle of scotch probably, but I was not drunk. There is a deliberate attempt by the left wing to paint me that way. He also denied mocking the Queen when he made comments where he adopted a fake English accent, and nobody's better at accents than a New Yorker like Rudy Giuliani, a non-professional New Yorker. He just says he was just not drunk. Wow.
He doth protest too much. I didn't want.
Yes. Yeah. If you have to go out of your way to tell people you weren't drunk.
Yeah, you had one scotch and it was 48 ounces. Yeah, it was just one scotch. So I mean, that's all you had. I didn't want the discussion of this to get away without praising George W. Bush, who I thought gave a fantastic speech at Shanksville and redeemed himself tremendously by saying culturally there was no difference between the foreign terrorism that we suffered on 9/11 and the current domestic terrorism. He did not say January 6th or cite it directly, but everyone knew what he was talking about. And I thought it was incredibly appropriate. I thought the speech was very good. And I've criticized George W. Bush. You have as well. Part of my antipathy, if you will, about what happened over the weekend was that immediately the administration used 9/11 to start pivoting toward a war in Iraq. But, my God, to stand up in front of those people in Shanksville and to tell it like it is, and to talk about domestic terrorism, which is the true threat against America in 2021. I thought took a lot of guts, and it really goes a long way toward redeeming George W. Bush in his post-presidency.
Well, I disagree. That was so inappropriate. How dare he bring that up and ruin? Oh, when I saw the headline on that, I didn't see it, but I saw it right after in the form of a headline, and then I looked at what he said, and I thought, whoa, boy, oh man, he has lit one, and they're not going to be able to take it. Yes, he's talking about you and you and you and you, every damn Republican who signed off on pretending this has not happened and doesn't want to investigate it, and is supporting, white nationalist Nazism in this country and a complete dismantling of democracy. Which, remember, if you think that Bin Laden was the one who could have raised the mission accomplished flag after what he did, and there's a pretty good case that he did accomplish exactly what he wanted to do, and maybe even more so. I don't think he could have dreamed that he could draw us into a 20-year war in Afghanistan and have us leaving, spending trillions of dollars, losing thousands of people in an effort to get revenge and whatever it was we were stating that we were doing, which we're not quite sure now anymore, are we? But yeah, of course, George W. Bush was wholly appropriate. That was the right time. That was the right place. And that's why it drives so many people who know he was talking about them crazy. And they can go right back to all of this. Oh, he just said that. He just said that because he's mad that Trump beat his brother in the primary. So that's shit what it like is. That.
That's what it is.
The answer is no. Guess what? George W. Bush, and I'm sure Jeb Bush, he's over that. They're over that. But you know what? The country is not and should not be over what happened 20 years ago. And that's what you do on days like that. You say things that mean something.
Those two events to me are side by side. 9/11 and January the 6th to me are they're not, obviously, in terms of scope, the number of people killed, et cetera, but you're looking at terrorism, and you're looking at people who stormed the Capitol on January the 6th, and they tried to kill Mike Pence, and if they would have gotten their hands on Nancy Pelosi or AOC or anybody else, they would have killed them. And it's been minimized ever since then. I had a hard time with this stuff over the weekend, knowing again that the administration immediately within the day started pivoting toward war in Iraq, and also the way the first responders in New York have been screwed over the years and had to have Jon Stewart pound the table for them on a couple of occasions just so they could get what was promised to them. That kind of leaves me a little salty as well, but I would not deny the mourning of the people who lost all of those loved ones on 9/11 at the Pentagon in New York and Shanksville, for God's sakes, obviously. But personally, I had a kind of a tough time with it. By the way, this is where I get to mention wrestling, because the WWE, you might remember this. They had the first big public gathering after 9/11. Do you remember this? Because it was quite the story. They were in Houston, and it was 2 days after. If you subscribe to the Peacock streaming thing, which some people do, they've got all the WWE stuff on there now. The WWE has produced what I think is the most self-congratulatory, masturbatory thing that I think they've ever produced about how great it was that they did that show on the 13th of September of 2001. It is maddening. It is disgusting. It is all of the bad shit about post 9/11, the Toby Keith boot up your ass, Daryl Worley, have you forgotten America shit. It is all of that unapologetically. And I watched it and I was so like, I can't believe they're going down this road. But that is where they are. They are so
convinced. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
All right. Let me ask you, does this ever give you pause about your lifelong obsession with wrestling?
No.
Nothing. No. Okay. So you're like a Trumper. You're like an anti-vaxxer. There's no amount of evidence that these people are the most craven pieces of shit in all of sport.
I'm using my voice to criticize them, and I'm also doing it on this podcast.
And then but then you go right back to it. Okay.
Well,
okay,
I don't.
right.
I at some point in time, you tell the truth about it. And there's other places that I support with wrestling. He's not the only guy in town. You may have heard lately. There's another billionaire who's got a pretty big promotion that's doing okay on network television these days. It's not him, but he's lost a step. I've always said it. 1986 Al Davis was not 2006 Al Davis. I've always said that. Same thing with Vince McMahon. 2021 Vince McMahon is not 1980, but it is maddening, and it is all the things that you completely hated about the post 9/11 era with that dick swinging macho bravado Cold War Top Gun bullshit that people were rolling out at that time. That was one thing that I do not miss about the post 9/11 era when we supposedly were so united.
All right, let's go to some good news here. The Big Lebowski has beaten the Big C.
Oh boy.
Have you seen this?
I have not seen this.
Here it is. Here's the headline. Jeff Bridges cancer update. Remission. He tweeted this today, Monday. He said, I've been diagnosed with lymphoma. Although it's a serious disease, I feel fortunate. I have a great team of doctors. Prognosis is good. I'm starting treatment. We'll keep you posted on my recovery. So there you go.
What an unbelievable career. What an unbelievable career this guy has had.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just an amazing career. He's lived about 7 different lives. Obviously a second generation guy. And I'm sure when he started out, they were like, how's he ever going to eclipse what Lloyd's done in this business? You might as well just give it up.
No, actually, Britt, actually, no one was saying that.
A lot of people said that to him and to his face back when he started.
I don't think
he was also in one of the worst
they
films
didn't
ever
say
produced. It was called Heaven's Gate, a massive disaster. And he's been able to recover from that and win an Academy Award and be an icon in the business. So it's amazing that he's
I don't think he was ever blamed for
the career
Heaven's Gate. Can you make up some other? Can you make up some other arguments
that's
argue
what
against that didn't happen?
Yeah, here's another thing that didn't happen. I said he was responsible for Heaven's Gate dying. That's what I just said, which you just articulated. I never said that. I said he was in one of the worst movies, and some people never recovered that. Michael Cimino, line 2, if you'd like to talk to him for a moment, because he never did recover from that. And also United Artists kind of had to die and go away because of that. But no, I never said that he was to blame for Heaven's Gate, because he wasn't even really a major star in that film. Also, that Tommy Lee Jones guy, he recovered from being in that piece of shit too. Strangely enough,
I guess they didn't blame him for it either, huh?
I guess they didn't, and I never said that they blamed Jeff Bridges. So again, I don't know where you're coming up with that. At the rate of having you smack me again, I'm just going to show this because there is a point to this. This is Howard Stern calling out Joe Rogan for taking ivermectin instead of the cure vaccine. Now, this isn't about Howard Stern, who we both dislike to a great extent. There are vast rumors going around, and some people are whispers. Joe Rogan is actually secretly vaccinated, and he's not telling his listeners because he can't tell his listeners that. So all of this drama and gaga about him taking ivermectin and all of the other stuff is bullshit to cover for the fact that he's actually had the shot.
All right. Well, putting aside, it's possible that they're just making up this idea that he was vaccinated to get people continuing to talk about him for what. All right. But putting that aside, if he was, and he got some kind of breakthrough case that he recovered from in a few days, because some people who are vaccinated who get it either don't have bad symptoms, don't show any at all, or recover fairly quickly. Don't you think he would want to say that and then play the game of, see, that's proof that vaccines don't work?
Can't do it. But he can't tell his audience that he was vaccinated. He can't tell them that.
So that's the most important thing he's got to stick with. Oh,
that's exactly right. And they have to go with this fantasy that the ivermectin works, and we threw all of this stuff through the kitchen sink at it, and I beat it. And you saw the story last week. He goes, "Do I have to sue CNN?" He's not going to sue CNN. He'll never sue CNN because you know why? They have a thing in these lawsuits called discovery, and it would come out that he's had the vaccine. It's been put into his arm on at least one occasion, probably two, because he probably didn't take Johnson & Johnson. So this is part of the lying and the prevarication. I did find out over the weekend, I do have a family member who is refusing to take the vaccine, Brad. And it's not an even older member of the family who's taking it. It's someone who's under 30, who is a public school teacher.
I don't know why.
Yeah. This will blow your mind.
Obviously, I don't even want to hear the reasons why, because is it one of the famous classic?
Oh, this is beyond any of that. This person claimed, and by the way, I have a life insurance policy. This person is one of the beneficiaries of my life insurance policy. The next time I see
that person off.
So
why do you have one? You're not married and you don't have kids.
I wanted some people in my life who were important to me to have something once I left. Now, that's probably going to change. I do have someone in my life, and now that money will probably go into them. But right now,
put me on it. Put me on it.
Well, I'm going to tell her the next time I see her, maybe I should be on her stuff, because apparently she's going to go before me. At this point, I was told that she claims that she took the HPV vaccine back when she was younger. And she claims that was the reason that she's had 2 miscarriages, and therefore she's not going to take the vaccine. This is what I've been told. This is what I've been told. I'm going to see this.
I believe that there would be someone who would believe that.
Would use that.
Of course, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't,
and it also doesn't make it. It speaks to, and I don't even know who this person is, that they're a very, very selfish person, because I don't know how you can be a teacher, elementary school teacher.
No, she's actually high school. She teaches high school.
I don't know how you can be any kind of teacher.
Yeah.
And be in the public setting with other kids and not be vaccinated. I also don't know how she's in a school system that allows her to be around.
The school system that she's in was famous around here for saying, we're not going to let our kids, we're not going to make the kids have a mask mandate. And then in about 24 hours, they were like, oh yeah, we changed. We're going to go back. And I assume at some point they will be mandated. They will be mandated to have the vaccine. Now, the kerfuffle over Joe Biden's announcement about mandates, it's being misreported and lied about in a lot of different media, has been met with a lot of anger and furor from some Republican governors in states like, let's just pick one, Mississippi. I'm sure you read over the weekend about the mandates for entering elementary school in a public school in Mississippi. There's not even a religious exemption for refusing vaccines before your child is enrolled in elementary school in Mississippi. You can't even claim that Jesus doesn't want me to have this measles or mumps or diphtheria or whatever vaccine. You can't do that. But yet the folks in these different, just name the states, I think Texas is one of them, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, I think they're all bitching about the fact. But this does seem like wrestling. I did see somebody say this, that there are a lot of these Republican governors that really want their people to get vaccinated, and now they can holler at Joe Biden and go, oh, I can't believe he's doing this to us. But they're really thankful to him for putting this in place, because it takes pressure off of them.
Right. But think of the stupidity and the cynicism
It is.
And the darkness of being a Republican governor of one of these states. And of course, you know better. And occasionally you say that people should get vaccinated. That's the best way to beat this disease. And you have a large group of your supporters who, for all the crazy reasons that we all know, have run the other way, including with top-down inspiration from Trump, but not exclusively, but top-down. And when Joe Biden channels what a lot of us were thinking last week, and then finally had the nerve to say it out in public, which is that our patience has run out, which was met with, well, I guess Biden's lost now. He's lost his composure. All the kind of crazy things, because God forbid you really speak the truth about something like this, that these governors welcome the fact that they have another rock to push against, which is Joe Biden and the federal government, quote unquote, interfering with private business and telling them, certainly the larger ones with 100 people and above, but by definition, they're really talking about every business should be doing this, that the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, with absolute authority to make sure you have a safe workplace, and that's not just that the air is clean, that there are bathrooms to go to, all the kind of thing that OSHA gets called in to inspect and fix, that you welcome the fact that you have another piece of meat to throw at your constituents who you actually, of course, really want to get vaccinated, but you have to pretend that you don't want to force them, quote unquote, to get vaccinated.
It's wrestling.
Freedom, right? Freedom. And actually, that just takes it up another level of sick cynicism. I don't know else how to term it. Sick cynicism that these folks are using to keep throwing monkey wrenches into the ability of the country to get up to 85 or 90%, whatever we need to get to really get a handle on making sure that the virus is corralled and doesn't have anywhere left to go, which is the goal here, ultimately. And it's just dreadful. I mean, it's just dreadful. Now, there's a story from late last week, and you probably have seen it. It's about the hospital in upstate New York, in Lowville, New York, Lowville, and it's in a county called Lewis County. And this is the problem with reporting of these stories, okay? Because I'm going to give you the most important fact that I, your trusty partner here on the Brad and Britt cast, looked for immediately when I saw the story. First of all, I get the map out. Where the hell's Lowville? And it's way up in New York. It's way past Rochester, and I mean it's almost near the top. It's a little tiny.
You just
town.
say upstate, and upstate covers about 7 million square miles. That's all you got to say, right?
Right. Well, when you're in New York City, upstate means Poughkeepsie, okay, yeah. Which is a couple miles up. It really does.
And it means Buffalo, and it also means everything else. Cortland,
right. But it covers everything but New York City. All right. So, but it's way up there, and it's in a small, sparsely populated county, a county that voted. You ready? 70% for Donald Trump.
Oh, God.
70% for Donald Trump. So it's a Republican county. It may as well be in Mississippi or Florida or Texas or Georgia. But the reporting in the story does not mention that. So they just say, well, in New York, there's a hospital where a certain number of people refuse to get vaccinated, and they're not going to be delivering babies in a few weeks because they just won't have enough people to do it. And I think it's important that you know who the fuck these people are, that there are folks in the medical community, nurses, right? People working hard who are not getting vaccinated. And they think they have, and this is in New York State, but they're red. They're Trumpers. They're those people who think that they have something. I guess they did the research. Yeah, right. And I think that's an important part of the story. Or I like to say, it's just like every time I hear about a story that begins with this: a federal judge ruled that. What do? I find out who
the judge
appointed
is.
that federal judge. Was it Obama? Was it Trump? Was it George W. Bush? Was it Bill Clinton? Was it Ronald Reagan? Because sometimes, not always, you can match up decisions that you think have some kind of political bias to them with who the appointing judge was. It doesn't always work, but it works a lot. And in the case of a hospital with a bunch of vaccine refuseniks on staff who are fucking things up, you can look almost perfectly and get a match with the political climate of the county where that hospital is, or the city where that hospital is, right? So it's a fascinatingly horrible story, but it's just another one of these hospitals that's overrun. But how can you work in medicine and not be vaccinated. And I'm not just talking about the people who are hands-on with the pay. I mean, the cafeteria workers, the janitor, everyone in a goddamn hospital setting should be vaccinated. Why is this a discussion? Why is this a rule? And the answer is because, you want to say the country's lost its way, that the facts mean nothing. I'll tell you what I did. I wanted to make sure that as we go forward here, and you pointed out pretty well some of the stupidity and the Republican recalcitrance in a lot of these states and these governors who are backed up by. And by the way, if we had a Republican governor in this state, North Carolina would be right in every news story with every other one.
Amen.
We would.
We would be if Dan Forrest had beaten Roy Cooper for governor last year, we would be so screwed right now, honestly. And that's just one office in one state, but we would be Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, you name it. We would be all of that.
Right.
Maybe Florida even.
But now there is not a veto-proof majority among a Republican-controlled legislature in both houses. I don't think it's veto-proof in either one. So he can veto shit that they pass, and then it goes away because it can't be overridden, or it isn't overridden. So I wanted to look up the early history on this and the parallels, and where the courts are going to be able to just smack down every objection to the orders that are being put in place by President Joe Biden. And it's really kind of fascinating because the story is that in 1901, there was a smallpox outbreak in Boston. There was a preacher, a pastor named Jacobson, who didn't want to get vaccinated because he'd been vaccinated as a kid and said he got sick and ill. And so all these years later, they'd mandated that everyone in the city of Boston, Cambridge, gets vaccinated. He said no. And he made a court case out of it. And he had a group of people. He had his friends as part of some pressure group. It might have been a Facebook group of the day kind of thing. And he organized it. And they went to state court in Massachusetts. And Massachusetts said, no, you got to take the vaccine. Not good enough. Goes to the U.S. Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, no, you have got to take the vaccine. And the language that they used back then is so clear. It's so right on target with what we're facing right now. The lawyers for Jacobson argued in front of the Supreme Court that this was a violation of their 14th Amendment rights, which said the state cannot deprive a person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Yeah. And of course, as you know, taking a vaccine is actually preserving life, liberty, right? But it starts with the word life. All right, but so let's take the gaslight out of the attempted argument here. And they said that your right to refuse a vaccination was a personal liberty that no one should intrude upon. The Supreme Court said, nope. Bullshit. No, sir. We are done, sir. You may leave, sir. And
good day.
Here's the majority opinion. Right. Here's the majority opinion. And even though that there was an acknowledgement that people do have personal freedom, John Harlan, the Chief Justice, said that the rights of the individual in respect of his liberty may at times, under the pressure of great dangers, be subjected to such restraint to be enforced by reasonable regulations as the safety of the general public may demand. So what did that turn into long term? It's been used in other cases. It's the reasonableness test. Mm-hmm. Is it reasonable for the government to pass laws that restrict individual liberty if those restrictions, including punishment for violating them, are found by the court to be a reasonable means for achieving a public good? If that doesn't define what we have in front of us right now, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what does. We have a case that was brought up in 1922. There was another vaccination case. It was, that's right, a student in Texas named Zucht, Z-U-C-H-T, a girl who was barred from attending public school because her parents refused to have her vaccinated. The lawyers argued the school district's ordinance requiring proof of vaccination denied her equal protection as guaranteed by the 14th Amendment. The Supreme Court said, no, we disagree. And Judge Louis Brandeis, who has a university named after him, Tufts.
I see what you did there.
You see what I think? Here's the decision. Long before this suit was instituted, he pointed backwards to the Jacobson case in 2005. It's settled law that it's within the police power of a state to provide for compulsory vaccination. These ordinances confer not arbitrary power, but just the broad discretion required for the protection of public health. Okay, now the one thing that gets in the way in the subsequent years was that the Jacobson decision was used for forced sterilization all over the country, including right here.
Mm-hmm.
That was wrong, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Forced sterilization is not vaccination. That should not be confused with what we have right now. And if you want to have some fun, just look up what kind of vaccinations do I need to travel to Japan. Okay,
oh God,
there's about 15 of them.
Yeah,
you know, in addition to all the vaccinations that we've all taken and that our kids have to take to go to public school. So when Joe Biden said, I believe this was on Friday,
mm-hmm.
he basically said, "Bring it on." Because some of the reporters said, they're objecting, the lawsuits are going to come.
And again, said, these are steps that he's taking, and it's for large companies, it's for federal contractors, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody in the world. Isn't covered by the strong steel fist of the steel government of the federal government. It was a very limited thing that he did. But that doesn't matter. It's being reported as Joe Biden is going to drag you in and get you stuck with a needle. That's what he's going to do. After he takes your guns, he's going to immediately make you go over to CVS.
That's part of it. Yeah, when they come to your house and stick the needle in. Right.
I am so pro-vaccine. Today, I got a flu shot and I got my first dose of the shingle shot. Today, on this day.
Did?
Yes.
Oh, good for you.
The last thing that I'm going to say today.
Shingrix.
I have a friend of mine, my roommate from college, whose father just died due to COVID-19. And I don't know exactly how old his father was. I assume he was about the same age as my mom and my parents, so probably in his 70s, probably in his low to mid 70s. And my friend obviously is in mourning. They had the service for his dad on Saturday. My friend put out a message. He says, I'm going dark from Facebook. I'm done with Facebook. This medium helped spread the misinformation that led to my father dying. And he's done.
So he obviously wasn't vaccinated.
He was, and I know there were some comorbidities involved. His dad was a big guy, but he has said, that's it. I'm done with Facebook. I know that Facebook has tried to keep up with the bullshit, but this medium is partially responsible for spreading the misinformation that led to killing my dad. So he's done. He's off. Wow. He's off of Facebook.
Wow, that's tough stuff.
It is.
However, you can't have it both ways. You can't talk about personal responsibility.
Yeah.
And then at this moment, and it's not your father, it's not my father, so we're not in someone's shoes. But then at that moment, when the guy dies, that you blame the messenger. And this is not to absolve Facebook at any level. This is not.
There's some partial responsibility, though.
But that's tough stuff, and especially if you're older, and people who are over 65. Man, we had first shot at it. We had first dibs to get in. It may have taken a few phone calls or refreshes on the computer, but in looking back, it wasn't that hard. And then it just got easier and easier and easier. And I feel bad for the guy, but geez.
I understand completely, that why he would want to do that. And he's very, obviously upset and angry that the bullshit won. You know, the bullshit ended up killing his dad, and that's a very, very sad thing.
Well, our condolences to your friend. Sad. All right, we will be back on Tuesday with another Brad and Britt cast right here on the same Brad and Britt cast channel. Thank you.
See you guys.